At 0312 local time, somewhere over the western edge of the Persian Gulf, a single F-35AA cut through the darkness at 28,000 feet. No lights, no radio chatter, just the low hum of one of the most advanced fighter jets ever built, moving fast, moving quiet, moving with purpose. The pilot, call sign Viper 1, had been airborne for 47 minutes. The mission was listed as a routine patrol. That's what the paperwork said. But the weapons load told a different story. 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators weren't standard patrol equipment. Neither were the 4 AIM-120D air-to-air missiles sitting on internal hardpoints. This wasn't a patrol. This was a strike package. And somewhere ahead, deep inside Iranian-controlled airspace, the target was already waiting. Then the warning receiver screamed. Radar, ground-based, Iranian. And it was locked. 3 weeks before this moment, the situation in the region had changed dramatically. Iranian ballistic missile launches targeting U.S. forward positions had escalated. U.S. Central Command had authorized a response. Not a symbolic one, a real one. The Air Force had been planning for 72 hours straight. Inside a hardened command center at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, planners had built a strike package unlike anything seen in the region in years. Multiple layers, multiple aircraft types, multiple suppression corridors. The mission was designed to hit deep, hit hard, and get out clean. But the Iranians weren't sleeping either. Viper 1 broke left immediately, hard. The F-35's flight control system responded faster than any human reaction could match. The aircraft pulled 7G in the turn, induced dropping flares and activating its electronic warfare suite simultaneously. Think of the F-35's electronic warfare system like an invisible force field around the jet. The moment a radar locks onto it, the system starts broadcasting false signals, bending the radar return, making the aircraft appear somewhere it isn't. The enemy radar thinks it has a lock. It doesn't. But tonight, the Iranians were using something different. The radar signature was consistent with an S-300 PMU-2, long range, high altitude, capable of engaging targets at over 200 kilometers. And the Iranians had multiple batteries positioned in depth, overlapping coverage zones, making a clean ingress almost impossible. Almost. 40 miles to the northwest, another aircraft was already working the problem. An EA-18G Growler, call sign Ghost Rider. Wody had been orbiting just outside Iranian radar range for 20 minutes. The Growler wasn't there to fight. It was there to blind. Its job was electronic warfare, jamming Iranian radar systems so the strike package could push through the gap. Think of the Growler like a giant noise machine in the sky. When it activates its jamming pods, it floods the enemy radar frequencies with so much interference that the radar operators on the ground see nothing but static. They can't track. They can't target. They can't shoot. Ghost Rider activated the jamming system at 0317. The S-300 battery went dark for 11 seconds. That was all Viper 1 needed. Inside the Iranian command center, alarms were going off. The radar operators had lost their picture. They were shouting into headsets, switching frequencies, trying to burn through the interference. But every time they switched, the Growler followed them. It was like trying to outrun your own shadow. The situation for Iranian air defense was deteriorating fast, but that wasn't the real problem. High above the strike corridor, at 42,000 feet, an E-3 Sentry AWACS aircraft was watching everything. The AWACS was the brain of the entire operation. It tracked every aircraft, every radar emission, every missile launch, across a radius of over 300 miles. Think of the AWACS like a flying air traffic control tower, except instead of guiding commercial flights, it's orchestrating a war in real time. The AWACS controller came over the radio, calm, precise. Viper flight, AWACS. New contacts. Bearing 075. Multiple fast movers. Iranian F-14S. 2 aircraft. Climbing fast. Iran had scrambled its fighters. Viper 2, the wingman, had been holding 15 miles south. The moment the F-14 contacts appeared on the tactical display, he pushed his throttle forward. Iran's F-14 Tomcats were old aircraft, American-made, left over from before the revolution. But they had been upgraded over the decades. Their radar was capable. Their AIM-54 Phoenix missiles had been reverse-engineered and rebuilt by Iranian engineers. They weren't to be ignored. At 0321, the F-14S crossed into the engagement zone. Viper 2's radar locked the lead aircraft at 68 miles. The AIM-120D missile was already computing its intercept solution. The AIM-120D, the AMRAAM, is a fire-and-forget weapon. Once launched, it guides itself to the target using its own radar. The launching pilot doesn't need to keep pointing at the enemy. He can turn, maneuver, defend himself. The missile handles the rest. Think of it like throwing a baseball that can see. Viper 2 launched. 1 missile. The AIM-120D dropped from the internal bay, ignited, and accelerated past Mach 4. Meanwhile, on the ground, something else was unfolding. A flight of B-2 Spirit stealth bombers had taken off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri 18 hours earlier. They had crossed the Atlantic, refueled twice over the Mediterranean, and were now approaching their weapons release point from the north. The Iranians had no idea the B-2s were there. The B-2 is the most expensive aircraft ever built. Its entire design is focused on one thing: invisibility. Its radar cross-section is roughly the size of a large bird. On most radar systems, it simply doesn't appear. Tonight, each B-2 was carrying 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators. The GBU-57 is not a normal bomb. It weighs 30,000 pounds. It is designed to punch through 60 feet of reinforced concrete before detonating. There is nothing else like it in the world. The targets tonight were underground, deep underground. Hardened bunkers that Iranian engineers had spent years building, burying, reinforcing. Facilities that conventional weapons couldn't touch. The GBU-57 could. Back over the Gulf, the situation was getting worse. The Iranian F-14S had broken formation. One turned south, one turned east. Classic split tactic. Forced the American fighters to choose which one to chase. Viper 2's missile was still tracking the lead F-14. Impact in 8 seconds. The second F-14 had now lit up its own radar. It was painting Viper 1 with a fire control lock. Viper 1, spike, brake right. The AWACS controller's voice cut through the radio. Viper 1 broke right. Countermeasures dispensed. Chaff and flares bloomed behind the jet in a bright cloud of heat and metallic confetti. Chaff confuses radar-guided missiles. Flares confuse infrared seekers. Between the two, you create maximum confusion for whatever is coming at you. At 0324, the first AIM-120D connected with the lead Iranian F-14. The aircraft came apart at altitude. The second F-14 pilot saw his wingman disappear from radar. He pulled hard, going defensive, dumping chaff, diving for the deck. Viper 2 was already repositioning for a second shot, but now the AWACS had a new problem. All stations AWACS, ballistic missile warning, inbound. Bearing 045. Time of flight estimated 6 minutes. Al Udeid is the probable target. Iran had launched. At Al Udeid Air Base, the Patriot missile battery had been on hot standby for hours. The moment the launch was detected by satellite, the battery received targeting data automatically. The Patriot's engagement radar slewed to the bearing. Think of the Patriot system like a long-range goalkeeper. The incoming ballistic missile is the penalty shot. The Patriot calculates exactly where that shot is going to go, then launches its own missile to meet it before it arrives. The Patriot launched 2 interceptors, standard procedure against ballistic missiles. 2 shots, maximum kill probability. Inside the command center, nobody spoke. Everyone watched the screens. Time of flight, 4 minutes. High above, Viper 1 had re-engaged. The second Iranian F-14 had gone defensive, diving low, trying to use terrain masking to break the radar lock. But the F-35's radar could track low-flying targets against ground clutter. There was no hiding. Viper 1 fired. The AIM-120D guided true. The second F-14 was gone. But that wasn't the real problem. The AWACS was now calling out more contacts. Drone swarm. Dozens of Shahed series drones launched from dispersed sites inside Iran. They were flying low, slow, and in large numbers, designed to saturate air defenses, overwhelm radar, slip through the gaps, and Viper flight was nearly at bingo fuel. Bingo fuel is the minimum fuel required to return safely to base. If you drop below bingo, you might not make it back. Every pilot knows the number. Every pilot watches it. Viper 1 had 7 minutes before he hit bingo. The target was 9 minutes away. The decision had to be made now. Viper 1, AWACS. You are cleared to abort or press. Your call. The pilot looked at his fuel state. Then, at the target coordinates on his display. Then, at the weapon still aboard. He pressed. At 0331, Viper 1 crossed the target threshold and released the GBU-57. The bomb fell away clean. The jet immediately turned west, pushing throttle to military power, burning fuel fast, but heading for the tanker already orbiting 40 miles out. At the same moment, from 42,000 feet, the B-2S released their weapons packages over the hardened underground facilities. 4 GBU-57s, dropping simultaneously. The first penetrator hit at 0334. The detonation was measured on seismic sensors. Then the second, then the third, then the fourth. Back at Al Udeid, the Patriot interceptors connected with the Iranian ballistic missile at 47,000 feet, 40 miles from the base. The warhead detonated harmlessly in the upper atmosphere. The drone swarm was engaged by Patriot, CRAM, and a second Growler that had pushed forward specifically to jam drone navigation signals. 43 drones were brought down. 11 got through. But the base had been hardened. 11 drones caused damage. No aircraft were destroyed, no casualties. By 0400, the B-2s were already turning north, heading home. They would land at Whiteman 20 hours later. Viper 1 made it to the tanker with 4 minutes of fuel margin. He took on 8,000 pounds, then turned for Al Udeid. The targets were confirmed destroyed by reconnaissance satellite imagery within the hour. The underground facilities, years in the making, reinforced with concrete and steel, designed to survive almost anything, had been reduced to rubble. The Iran had fired ballistic missiles and drones. They had scrambled fighters. They had activated their best air defense systems. None of it had been enough. The Air Force had gone in, hit what it needed to hit, and come out. In the darkness over the Persian Gulf, the skies went quiet again.